you know, why couldn't we just, you know, understand better innate intelligence and universal intelligence and make them dense knowingly through the adjustment, you know, and the adjustment is never to correct something. Yes, in chiropractic, we learn to adjust to correct subluxations, but what is a subluxation really? What is a subluxation? And a good definition of a subluxation, I would draw your attention into the Australian Spinal Research Foundation and look at that definition, because it's really different spheres. And at the center of a sphere, there's lack of coherence in the nervous system. So again, an aberrant neurological function, aberrant sensory function, inadaptability. You see, and when you understand that a subluxation is a defense mechanism in order to allow the body to be in surviving, if you correct really a subluxation, I mean, you're trying to eradicate it, well, you are fighting a defense mechanism. The thing is, how can you create a situation in the body, but the body self-corrects the subluxation? By self-correcting it, it means that it adapts to a higher level of complexity. That means growth. And that's a process of reorganization.
And in that aspect, you cannot exclude the consciousness of the individual.
Absolutely not.
You integrate everything.
Yeah. Okay. So that was a long explanation for, you know, what is life force? Well, life force is...
Well, what is innate?
Yeah, what is innate?
And
well,
what
no,
is a subluxation?
I link it to it, but you know, may the force be with you, you know. Okay. Well, next, we still have time, huh? Because we have plenty of times, and we are fired up anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just that we would like to touch your spines and show you things, you know. This is the frustration. This is great, but then we're talking with you in the beginning, and you know, there's the lack of the experience, and giving you the experience is really a bit of you know, a bit of frustration, but that's okay. We'll catch up.
I'm looking at the chat because some people... Oh, you look at the chat, right? We don't have to...
No.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
Oui?
Yeah, you are working together in a relationship for a couple of years. So there is some rules that you define together to make it happen in a good way, or to make the practice like very good.
As far as working together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is some rules, or you define like some barriers or something.
Less and less, actually. There's been a lot of conflicts. It's not easy but I think we worked it out pretty good. I'm not really fond of. I like sports people, but it's not really my. It's not so much my gig, you know. So. I'll let him take care of, like for instance, I took so many AK seminars. I'm lazy. First of all, let's say I'm lazy. So the AK seminars, wow, all that muscle testing, this is so tiring. You know, I don't feel I'm going to do that all day long. So I'll just let him do those things. I love taking care of children, babies, pregnant women, but anybody that will not require me to test all those muscles.
But we don't test any muscles anymore.
No, but there's that at that time I kind of start giving away all the the sports people to Marc, and somehow it's a pattern now. It's a pattern I'm okay with.
Well, let's say that, you know,
I do a lot of SRI that
Yeah.
you sometimes you don't.
But I
want to
didn't
do.
understand the question Sylvain was asking.
How
You
do
were
we
asking about
collaborate?
rules or how we
It
collaborate.
wasn't clear. It wasn't clear.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes it's very difficult to work when we are in a couple. Like, let's say there is some clinic and there is a husband is working like the Monday and the
Mhm.
wife the Tuesday. And if I understood well, you sometimes you are working together in the same moment at the right time, right?
Mhm.
And how does it work? Like, you have your own patient for each one, or it's free, they go on the table and you put the hand on them?
I'll just explain a little bit the
Let-
structure, how
Then
we
me
work.
too. Then me too.
Okay, and I mean, the most of the time is for us. Let's say we have a new patient coming in. It makes no difference if it's Patricia who does the first visit or if I do the first visit, because then the first cycle is about 12 sessions where they will receive entrainments or adjustments, and they will have sessions of where we teach them the exercise of somatorespiratory integration. And so in that cycle, they will see both of us because we work in an open room and we work most of the time we work together in the same room. We see, I mean, the waiting room is not isolated from where we entrain or where we adjust. I mean, we have chairs in one part of the room and then we have our 6 tables and we work in the room. And so people, when they have a free table, well, they hop on and it's Patricia who adjusts, or it's me, same thing.
We are very careful, or one big thing that is very important for us when we work is the coherence of the field. We consider that we work in a field and we are both of us very sensitive and responsible to the coherence of that field. So when we work together, we also have this male and female energy that we somehow it does create a very strong field in the room.
And that harmony came with the time, or from the beginning you had this kind of feeling that, you know, it should be more male, more female, or?
In the beginning, we each had our room.
Yeah.
We each had our room, and then we broke a wall.
Then we broke a wall between the rooms.
We joined.
And so she was working in her part of the room, the big room. I was working in my part. Then we say, and then one day, it was after a holiday, Leah was working with us for a while doing SRI in our office. And she came and says, okay, aren't you fed up with that? And I was going, oh. And Patricia says, yes, I'm fed up. And so she said, okay, let's put the table like that. And I went,
and it's still like that.
And now it's still like that. So Leah was really the agent of change. You know, aren't you fed up? Let's just open the whole thing.
Yeah, we had both our own working space.
Yeah.
Before.
And do you have any ritual before to start your day? Before to go in your clinic, do you have any routine or rituals?
Well, yeah, leave your stuff outside when you come in. Okay, when you come in is to serve, and so you have to be in state. And so let's say that the ritual is really about, you know, when once we enter the room or the office and we are with people, it's difficult to say that we are depersonalized or disembodied, but close. We are completely like there for them.
Yeah. There's if you come to our office one day, you'll see that from our entrainment room, there is a huge, enormous, very old tree. For me, it's every morning when I arrive, I look at the tree, I consider the the field of influence that is that tree, and where does he start, where does it end, because it's infinite. It has, you know, just knowing the roots and how the roots of that tree meet other roots of other trees, and how it creates a connection in the world, and all of what it means. For me, it's an inspiration.
Yeah. And for me, it's a place. We are so fortunate to have that place because it's at a cross of energy lines and right in the office. And so it's a ley line and a gold and silver line, and they just cross right in the office. And from where we are, we have windows. We have that big tree, and then right behind the tree, we have the symbol of Torino, La Mole Antonelliano, which is that tower, very beautiful tower.
The Turin Tour Eiffel,
Yeah,
let's say.
yeah.
But anyway, it's a very, we've worked a lot on the energy of that space.
Yeah.
And many people, very many people say, you know, when I come in the office, I already feel the charge and the energy of that place. And it takes a while, you know, you're going to charge your create that space, that it's a sacred space. It is totally sacred. And that's it.
Yeah, we worked on it. Like the structure, we have a friend who's an architect, and she teaches Feng Shui. And so our office is really, you know, everything has been analyzed by the coordinates and by the energy and the elements and everything. And then it's about 4 years now that we've been working with Dominique Hort and Carlo Cortella, which is Source. It's a Swiss Optimal Living Society. They create instruments, you know, to treat, to put it that way, dirty electricity phenomenon, energetic phenomenon, and the quality of the air with bioionizator, and you know, and so we have that also in the office, which creates even more and how do you say, a space that is completely, really coherent, really, really strong energetically, and really sustaining elevation, but also grounding. You know, it's not very good to sustain elevation with no grounding.
No.
You want both.
You're gonna
You want
fall.
both. Okay. That's it. So everybody is welcome to our office whenever you want. Just tell us and we'll be there. More?
I wanted to ask you about how do you decide how often the patients come, and how you change like how often they come as you progress through the care.
Okay.
So it's very planned. We work with cycles. We do the first visit, and then we decide for a cycle, which is twice a week for 12 visits, really. Sometimes we kind of change a bit that, because everybody's different, but mainly we use that. We don't ask per person to pay for the whole cycle, or that they pay every time. And we tell them, you know, you're gonna have to go through the cycle. And then we do a reeval. We do another, because we work in a, you know, open space, as you understood. And after a month or so of working, we do what we call a reevaluation. And there should be questionnaires, but we kind of know them by heart. So at the end, we
ask our questions.
We ask our in the end, we shortcut and we ask our own questions to reevaluate where the person is at. And we always tell them, you know, throughout the cycle, your symptom is going to go up and down, and going to feel better, and then you're going to feel worse. And that's just go through it. And then we decide if they want to stop there, they're fine. Good. if they want to, there's a possibility to continue more, go into more of a transform season and stuff like that. It's once a week, and it's usually another cycle, but once a week. So we cover a lot of time. That's mainly how we've created it.
Yeah.
Then it's always personalized.
Yeah.
People, we are always available if you want to say something. If you, if it's not possible, just like table talk, well, we'll set a phone call or something. But it's not very often. Really, it's very rare, I would say. And we have people who've been coming for 30 years.
30 years regularly. Every
Regularly.
Week. And it's not called maintenance care.
No, it's
because it's a path, you know. And so to add something to what Patricia said, at least for me, in our process, in the way we work with people, and like she says, there are differences, but mainly for me, there are only two cycles. The first one is to, you know, achieve, let's say, the recovering period of a state of ease. Whatever is the reason why the people come at the beginning, they always have a complaint, right? And let's call it symptom, okay? The reason why they come, and when they come the first time, they are obviously symptom oriented. And so at that time, we meet them and said, okay, you have those symptoms because you live in that state. And that state, I call that dis-ease. In Italian, it's disagio. Okay, it's not
physiology.
Yeah, it's stress physiology. It's not a malady. It's not you know, a pathology. It could be, you know, but it's really, you have those symptoms.
Well, sometimes
and there are many
pathologies.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I said.
Okay.
And so, so the first cycle is really to recuperate ease. No matter what the symptoms or the illness is, you know, it's from this ease you want to recuperate ease. And when we have done that first cycle, we do the re-eval and say, okay, from that state of ease, do you want to start to progress? That's a different dimension, because progress means your physiology has to progress like an athlete who trains. You know, he's under stress to get better, right? If he does not train, he is not stressed, no progress. So it's not about maintenance. I don't care about maintenance. Maintaining people the way they are, no development. We're not really interested into that. But that can be, we allow that. People, oh no, I just want to stay like, okay, fine. Come once a month or whatever is the need. You just call. But most people, they go on into what Patricia called transform, which is really the moment where we help them create a progress, the development of new strategies. But at that moment, they have to choose also a different outcome. What do they want? At the beginning, they want relief from symptom. At the re-eval, if they want to go on, why? The why is theirs. We have a why. We know how to adjust them in a transform way. Our why is to make progress in the system and allow more intelligence and more energy to organize more complexity in the strategies of their body, their mind, their nervous system, their life. They have to get better at living. And so they need to have a different reason why they come. They're not coming in order to be sure that they will not fall back to dis-ease. See? And so from that, I will make a jump. And then those are the first two cycles. At the end of the second cycle, there's a new re-eval. And at that point, people who go on, it's not a cycle because they go into awakened care and integration care, which is, it's a life path. You know, when we see people, for us, it's a life process.
And we used to do, now we haven't done because of all those situations, but we used to do healing days, you know, we call them peer days, where those people were you know, somehow become conscious of what is the possibilities through you know, through what they do in the office with us. And yeah, many people don't know what they really want
And so
in life,
yeah,
and with their health. They don't know.
in
They have
the
to ask themselves.
in the
that.
70s in the States, and Bryce might obviously remember that there was a movement that was called Renaissance, and Renaissance was, you
With
know,
Guy Rickman.
with Guy Rickman and Joe Fleischer and I mean, big names in chiropractic, and they had a definition of, you know, the types of patients, let's say, that would come to a chiropractic office. And so the first type of patient was personality of patient was, well, they wanted relief from a situation or a concern, a health concern. And so obviously you treat them according to what they want. The second type of patient was once they have a relief of that situation, well, they don't want to fall back to it. So they go on, let's say, maintenance care in order to stay stable per se, in order not to fall back to a bad situation. The third type of personality of patients is, okay, I'm going to go on with care because I want to get to be a better person. I want to get better. I want to progress, like I said before. And the fourth type of person is that, okay, I'm going to go on for care because I want to be able to help the world to be a better place. Okay,
There's not so many of those.
there's not so many of those, but that's part of the integration of the awakened, if you want. And so Donny Epstein, a few years back, decided that there must be a different organization of the nervous system and the neurospinal structure in all those categories or typology of persons. And I want to know what it is. And I want to know how to act and create that definite state of physiology.
So this is when he came up with the term reorganizational healing.
Yes, which is part of the development of network spinal analysis. Okay, and so this way we make, to answer to your question, we made a big thing there. And so for me, once they did the second cycle and they do the second reeval, and the people who decide to go on is because, first of all, they want to be a better person and they want to be present in a better world because they are there. And so that's a different physiology, that's a different nervous system. And obviously, the interaction we have with them is completely different. The adjustment or the entrainment, as we call them, completely different.
And it is, it is, you know, it's not something that goes like that straight up. It's circular in a way that any one of us sometimes will go back into pain and suffering and change and awaken and go back again and want to change the world, but then realize that you kind of have to discover more about yourself and transform it, and it's more of a spiral, I would say, more than just.
It's an interesting thing to study also about consciousness and values. It's about to know about the spiral dynamics. That's really interesting, you know, or read about or listen to certain tapes of Ken Wilber or even Donny Epstein. That's really interesting.
Yeah, there's some stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Okay. Axel, je te vois bouger là. Qu'est-ce que tu dis là?
No, sorry. I had a debate with Gideon, which is here, about how life was, and he really made this same metaphor with a spiral.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Which is what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and then according to your energy state and your awareness, you kind of move up and down, and that's what life is, you know.
No, it's really amazing. I have a question.
Sure.
So what is an adjustment, an entrainment in network? Can you describe it for us?
C'est pour moi ça. Okay.
It takes a while.
Yeah. And so, first of all, you have to understand how we decide how we intervene with a system, which is the neurospinal structure. And so we have, it has been called network spinal analysis. So, and I make a jump to, I don't know which girl it was, but it was asking, you know, what could you give us as an advice when we study chiropractic? Okay, voila. Okay, study techniques that are analytical system. Diversified is not an analysis, it's a diversified way to move things. So study Gonstead, study SOT, study Logan, study Thompson, Kirstelwagen, study Matrix, study Network, study a way to analyze and understand the system. Because if you don't have an analysis, you don't know what you're doing. Okay, and analysis in chiropractic is a way to understand how the neurospinal structure is functioning. And so from that, knowing how it's functioning, you know where you want it to go. And then you decide your care plan. Okay, now let's go back to the question, but
what is an entrainment?
What is an entrainment? So first we analyze the structure, and to analyze the structure, we palpate very soft, very light, what we call the passive structure, which is the bones and the disc and the ligaments. And that's the work of Punjabi, which was an orthopedist, you know, who created that. You know, the stability system in the spinal structure is depending on three subsystems: the passive, which is bone, ligaments, and discs. And then the active system, which is the paraspinal musculature. And then you have the neural control, which is the spinal cord, the brain, the meninges. Actually, the meninges are part of a passive because it's a ligament. And anyway, so you have those three components: passive, active, and neural. The neural control, what it does, it just organizes the sharing of energy between the passive and the active, creating the posture. And then Epstein added a fourth subsystem, which is the emotional subsystem, practically overlaying all the others. Okay. Including, yeah. And so what we do is that we analyze the system, and we analyze and that's a different. Sorry if it's getting complex, but in order to explain the entrainment, I have to go from, okay, how do we decide what we do when we entrain? Okay, do you agree with that? Then there's another work, Alf Brigg, which is a Swedish neurosurgeon, and he developed the concept of adverse mechanical cord tension, which is the tension in the neuromeningeal structure and the neurospinal structure, which is organized in certain patterns of posture, obviously, and Epstein linked that to different phases. We address the force we address on the spine, addressing different phases, because our analysis gives us, okay, certain phases are associated with a certain level of the spine. Let's say we speak about phase 1, it's sacrum and occiput. We speak about phase 2, it's C1 and C5. We speak about phase 3, the sacrum of the pelvis, you know, things like that. Phase 4 is C2, C3, and phase 5 is dual end of the spine. Anyway, so
we put them together.
We put them together, you know. And so once we have analyzed all that, you know, the interaction of the different subsystems, and the adverse mechanical cord tension, which is the defense pattern in the system, then we locate from the phase the areas of the spine we're going to work with. And so you have an area of the spine that will be defensive. We just observe that. This is the area that has been locking in order to create safety and stability. And what we will be contacting with a very light touch is the area of free energy, what we call spinal gateway, which is never a defensive area. It's always the counterpart, but is open to share energy.
And it is really an aspect it's really very liberating, because it's an area of energy exchange between the inner experience and the outer world. It's a very important concept.
Let's say that we are alive because our neurospinal structure is able to be connected to the outside world, the field outside, and from that perception, organize our inside world, our inside field, in order to make it adaptable to that outside field. That's through those gateways. It's never, the area that has been locked or subluxated is really trying to maintain stability when you are not understanding your relationship between outside and inside. So the best way to allow the body
you just don't have enough energy for that.
The best way to allow the body to reorganize and to reassess itself is when you analyze it properly and you contact it where it can have a different perspective or perception, and then it will realign spontaneously. And so that's the definition of an entrainment or a network adjustment. Okay, let's say that a network adjustment or an entrainment is going to allow for a self-correction. But the self-correction is really about allowing the energy invested in the defense pattern and dissipate into a better way to be defensive. You don't need to be stuck in order to be adaptive or to be able to adapt to strains or stress or things like that.
So one consequence of the entrainment, the system is going to start to breathe and to oscillate.
Yeah.
Which will enhance the flexibility, energize the person, and give them more ability to adapt to the environment.
And so the entrainment really allows the nervous system to create, through its spinal dimension and the connection it has with the whole body. It's really the nervous system which organizes the expression of the forces that you have applied. But again, the forces are as light as, I don't know if some of you wear contact lenses, but when you put the contact lens on your eyeball, that's the same pressure that we use. It's a contact. It's not a pressure.
And you're going to ask you, well, is there like some kind of adjustment, osseous adjustments, or because many people ask, well, yeah, at one point when the system is really oscillating and is really energized and have more flexibility, we will do some impulses.
Yeah, we call that network impulse.
So because at that point the system is energy efficient, and impulse is going to be an energy that the system is going to be able to use in order to evolve.
Yeah, since the system is already oscillating, the impulse, it can be like a toggle recall, or it can be just an adjustment, it can be also a constant move. It will be the application of oscillation in the system. You know,
at that point you can do many things. Knee chest is always very, you know, we don't really use it, but the system is, the spine is free to continue the oscillating process.
And at that time, the adjustment is really effortless. It's just clink. It's really nice. Okay, we explain.
They say yes because they have enough.
Maybe.
Stop them.
I don't know. There's still 21 people, huh?
Oh, yeah. So does anyone have another question, maybe? Because I got plenty, in case.
Huh?
I got plenty of questions in case, but if anyone have another question, Sebastian, if you want. Or Sylvain. No?
Right.
I have a question, and maybe
there's a question here. It's not from me. It's from Gary, my friend here, and Can you maybe explain to us about Donny's white light adjustment?
Donny's what?
What?
White light? I heard that back in the day, he actually had something he called a white light adjustment that he ended up taking back and said that the world wasn't ready for it yet.
The phase 6?
Because he entered so deep into people's past lifetimes that they would get up off the table and have flashbacks, start crying and yelling and screaming, and it was emotionally.
Legend there.
Okay, you know, you have to
It's the
be
legend.
always aware of, yeah, like Patricia was saying, there's the, how to say, there are the facts, and then there's the legend. Okay, and what people make it out of it. Plus, you have to understand that Donny has developed network, and he started that in like 86, 87, 88. And first it was network chiropractic, and that was subluxation based correction. And then it was network spinal analysis, and that was reorganizational healing, and that was the development of neural strategies associated with different levels of care. And then that developed a lot into very, very fine scrutiny into reorganizational healing, which was defined by 3 zones or 3 areas of responsibility. The first was cognitive, the second was progress, and the third was quantum. And then it became network spinal. And each time there's a quantum leap of development and understanding, and the science and the research in network or on network or about network. If you go on the site epienergetics.org/resources, you can find all of the research, and there are plenty of articles
Now, there,
that you can find on that. Yeah.
there's one thing is that, as you understand, there has been many evolution of the work. In the beginning, maybe this is what you're referring to, it was really about eliciting that wave. And it was very wild because you would feel that, you know, really powerful wave going through you, and it would create a lot of, you know, yelling and crying and very dramatic situation. And he tells it himself, you know, at that time, people had incredible experience, not sure their spine was getting so well or improving. Then he came up with the necessity of having first a respiratory wave before the development of the SP wave. So this is when the work started to be more integrated. And then there's maybe you're talking a lot about gates which were healing retreats, and some people really had to let go of a lot of suffering and a lot of fear, and it created incredible healing and changes in people. We've been to those gates, and then we've been working in those gates too with Epstein. And each adjustment, anyway, each session had very, very specific objectives with very, very specific outcomes, and it became more and more specific in that. I mean, I've been working in those gates, and you too, but for many years, and he would just materialize in front of you. And what is your, and could feel when you're not really coherent with the field. What is your objective, Patricia? And it was really that moment in those years that became very clear to us that the moment you put your hands on the spine and you do all your analysis, and then you have an objective for that person.
And also,
so it's not that you're going to go, oh, I'm going to adjust this, and maybe you're going to say, oh, well, it's changed. No. You know what your outcome must be with for that session.
With experience and by practicing, at the end, your palpation, which is your way to be present with a person, but also you palpate in order to know how can I serve that person. But your palpation tells a lot, a lot. And the more you know, the more you are sensitized to the interpretation that what you're touching gives you. If your touch is very, very subtle, very light, you read the person. If your palpation is deep, you know, well, it's about vertebra. It's not necessarily about the person. Okay, so network, you learn how to palpate very soft in order to feel the whole person. And obviously, the body will organize its relationship to life through time and space. And so if you can read that, well, you know a lot more and you can decide, you know, what is more appropriate at what time. And so,
Always with the motivation of serving that person.
Yeah.
Of course.
and it's not about an ego trip about, you know, I'm going to show you what I know. You know,
Well, yeah, with
that's,
that type of work,
yeah.
you're
Very
bound
humble.
to
Humility.
yeah, or you it's gonna go back into your face.
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure. And it's
Mm.
gonna be trouble for you.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you so much for the answer.
Huh?
Thank
Well,
you so much for the answer.
We still have 20 people. So
So, yeah, what? Maybe the last question, if no one have. Yeah. So, what is if you have the possibility to speak to all students, and not only of chiropractic, but maybe all the future generation, what would be the message from you?
Wow. Let me think about it. Well,
okay.
go for yours and I'll think.
I'll
think.
start. Okay. You know, right now we are living incredible times, right? Situation, you know, so-called COVID and all the consequences. And this is really a consciousness crisis for the whole humanity. And in a way, chiropractic and chiropractors have always been in the fulcrum, in the center of moments where chiropractic could help the development of a new level of consciousness. And so what we are living now is really the evidence that we've been prepared for that moment, which is, if you can think about what is the narrative that we hear everything, everywhere, all the disposition, all the rules, all the, you know, limitation of freedom, all, you know, those things, which is chiropractically, it's considered to be completely nonsense, completely, you know, outside of, I mean, it's completely foolish, okay? There's no scientific ground. But what we...
Well, it does, but for them, you mean?
For them it does, but really scientifically it has no, I mean, it's nonsense. And so our presence is really the promise that we will always be there in order to make the world a better place. But the world will be a better place if a human person is a better being, has more consciousness, has more capacity to be collaborative, to live with their fellow human being by themselves, you know, like communities. We've been living in this world now is the end of a competitive world, you know, where everybody is living and all the industries, the multinationals, all the entities, they're all in for greed. you know, all in for having more. So human beings have less. And so now we are on the verge of a collapse of that system. And only people who have a different reason for why they are here living and what are they doing to serve life, only those people will have the capacity to help make that jump in the future for a better world, for a better humanity. And chiropractic is center. So when you choose to study chiropractic, to enter in that, even though you don't know all that, you're at a stage of development, you don't have that type of, you know, clarity in your mind, let's say, or thought in your mind. But like Patricia said before, you are already answering the call. There's something that is calling you from the future, but the future on a certain plane is now. It's now. And so for me, what I could say to students now or to students in the future, or let's say, we are all students of life. But I think chiropractors are the agents of life.
We are agents of change for sure.
Yeah. And life changes. The difference for human beings is that change happens in life. It's part of life. It's inevitable. But growth is optional. Growth is a change that means transformation, that means more meaning, that means more dedication, that means more presence, that means more love, more sharing, all that, all those values that create more life. And for me, a chiropractor is somebody who has that standard of life.
One other message that I think is very important right now is the relationship, our relationship with ourselves and our relationship between each other. I mean, there's a reason why we are all have this social distancing and those masks and all that, because we are really called to create new bases for relationship with the world, of course, but relationship between each other, between human animals in life, really. But
With nature.
we are really in a moment of opportunity, incredible opportunity. I mean, I know it's hard for you guys, it's hard for everyone, but it's worth, you know, going through that tunnel and reborn and recreate something that of value, and it comes with the relationships as well. Yeah, it's important. That there was this I haven't listened to the talk of Epstein, I think on Facebook, but I just saw the title, and that was, I thought was very, very much on target, because he's talking about, you know, relationship is one thing, intimacy is something different.
Yeah.
Intimacy is, and really having that intimacy, and you start with that intimacy with yourself and intimacy with everyone. I mean, you have to really somehow reveal yourself in that, and you must develop intimacy with your patients.
Any way you touch them, you know,
Yeah.
you cannot get closer than that, you know.
And you must develop that
Yeah.
intimacy with your patients, because that will allow them to have that intimacy with themselves and in their life. That intimacy is also
Acceptance.
possibility to become more authentic. I would say. So be authentic.
Well, thank you, both of you. Thank you so much. It was really an amazing talk. It's 9:37. Maybe someone have a last question, but I think if none have, everybody is welcome
It's your last chance, you know.
I mean, come on.
Your last chance.
Well, I have one. Good
Oh.
evening. Well, to build that kind of coherence throughout time and relationship can be romantic or other kind of. What of your personal path and curiosity that made you become the person that you're today? It can be spiritual curiosity or artistry.
Well, I would say
Personal development that a practitioner should take into consideration in order to become the person that he's able to be once he's that day in the office ready to serve for many hours.
well, talking about myself, I think one of a big element of my growth was being spiritual care for the dying and being there when people were at the end of their life. And of course, you know, I lost my mom when I was a teenager. And then at one point I joined this group of spiritual care, and you know, death and those moments of separation, which are not really moment of separation, it can be a moment of great reunion, is really key. Birth and death, being there for birth, I mean, you know that, Leah, and assisting at birth and assisting at death, it just life-changing, and it gives so much value to life. So not escaping those key moments of human life was, yeah, for me, it's been a very transformative and major change in my life.
So yeah, really birth and death are really sacred moment of life, where it's a meeting point of all those forces that we spoke about before. For me, yeah, that was instrumental also, but possibility to be studying, you know, how to be present in those moments with people who are going or coming. And but what has helped me in my own development is, and what I could say is that I think each one of us needs to be passionate, to have passion. And I think to be a chiropractor for me is really to be so much, how do you say, entangled, because we are all entangled in life, but entangled in passion of serving through chiropractic, because this is sacred. It's like a birth and a death, and it's just like life is birth and death together. And continuously, yes. And that's, you know, those are the moments that are giving a rhythm to life itself. And to live the life that is purposeful, but has purpose, you need passion. You need to have passion for something. And you need to invest yourself in the exploration of that passion. Or let's say you need to live your life through the window of your passion. It might be art, it might be, you know,
cooking,
it might be whatever. For me, it has been always some kind of form of art. Well, you, my children, you know me. I like music. I like painting. I like arts, like martial arts. The arts for me, I like to practice chiropractic as an artist. I consider myself, I want to be, and I am an artist of life before I'm a chiropractor. Voila. I think I said it all.
Yeah, there's so much more to say.
Yeah,
you know,
we could spend, 10 days speaking like that.
Yeah, what maybe I'm thinking about, but let's see in the future. But let's see if it's possible. But maybe Brice want to talk again too. Jean-Paul Pianta want to talk again too. Marc and Patricia, if you want to talk again too. Maybe one day make a reunion between all of you if you want to discuss this with each other, and we are just like witnessing the discussion of experienced chiropractors trying to exchange ideas, perceptions, and even ideas for all of us for the future to bring this mind-kind consciousness to its higher level.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, we're available. I mean,
Yes.
for us, it's always an honor, and it's always. I mean, like I told you when we wrote together and everything, and we are so honored and so, how do you say, passionate about communicating with students. Inspire, share inspiration, because sometimes your questions they ask us to look inside of us and
Yeah.
okay, how can I answer to that being really truthful, not because it's like, try to fool a child, it's impossible. Try to fool a student, it's practically impossible.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, I hope. Anyway, the ones that are here, it's impossible to fool them, right? Because the other ones.
Why do you want to fool someone anyway?
Yeah, no, but I mean, fool, like saying something, just for saying it, things like that. Well, I hope it's been helpful. We hope that you enjoyed it.
We enjoyed it.
Yeah. That was a very nice moment.
Thank you so much.
Until next time, enjoy. And like one of our mentors used to be, and live with passion. Okay. That's, I'm not going to say who it is because maybe.
Live with passion.
Yeah, live with passion. Okay.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you for staying. It was amazing.
Merci.
Merci beaucoup. c'était
Thank you.
super.
Thank you.
Salut, Chloé. Ciao.
Ciao.